My name's Coach Brian, and I am a health coach, nutrition, fitness, wellness, lifestyle, behavior change. I've been doing this for about 20 years. I started out in 2001 teaching group exercise classes, which led me to an exercise degree in 2004, which led to personal training for a number of years, to being a gym owner for a number of years, and then I do a lot of remote nutrition health coaching with a lot of leaders, business owners, entrepreneurs, and busy working professionals. I'm 40. I'm a father of 4. I married my high school sweetheart, and that's who I am. I help everyday people reach their health goals in all sorts of different ways. So today we're going to talk about fatigue and its relevance to you. Let me share my screen, and we'll get into it. All right, I'm uploading it. All right, I am very excited about taking questions and comments, all that's, so please be open, ask. The more engagement I get in this webinar, the better off we do. So presenting fatigue, is it really just a lack of sleep, or is there something else to this? All right, so what we're going to be talking about is tiredness versus fatigue, reasons for fatigue, and then also fighting fatigue at its source. What is actually causing it, and how do you make sure that you have applicable ways to be able to manage it and help make sure that it's not something that is going to continue to bog you down. So let's define what tiredness means versus actual fatigue. The image here, we have a lady around a cup, and there is the low battery. We often feel drained in our energy throughout the day at different times of the day. Some of it could just be mental and emotional stress. It could be an acute stress at a particular time in your work schedule. It could be because you're physically tired, you didn't get enough sleep that day. It could be you overworked out, you're sore, you didn't eat properly. Good balanced nutrition is something I always promote around proteins and vegetables and fruits and some starchy carbs and healthy fats. It could be a lot of different things. So let's define. Tiredness is a state of being tired in your mind, your body, and it feels like it needs to rest. The image here on the screen is a sloth. We actually got to see sloths, so avid travel enthusiast. My wife takes us all over the place, and I get to participate. We were in Costa Rica this summer. We saw sloths firsthand. It was wild. We actually saw one moving. The guide said that if we saw them on the ground, it'd be even more special, but we didn't see that. But we did see them moving instead of just sleeping, hanging in the tree. But they are the epitome of sleep and rest and just soaking up the sun's rays. Now, so what we have is your body just literally needs to feel at rest. Now, sleepiness. So sleepiness can help when a person does not have enough good quality sleep. Or let me rotate this. I was trying to have the camera angle at a different angle. It's just not working. So let's do this. Okay. I will be able to see you and see that pretty well. All right. That's a lot better. Thank you for that. So sleepiness can help when a person does not have enough good quality sleep. Obviously, we're looking at promoting a good amount of the 6 to 8 is the general recommendations. Obviously, 7 to 8 is better. Sometimes you could get away with 8 to 9. It just depends on your body, your needs, and how you need to go about that. I end up running around 6.5-ish hours most of the time with 4 kids. I have to get up and get them to school on time. The wake up time is 6:37. I have that down to a T. We're out the door by 7:20. It takes about that much time. My wife loves to stay up. She's a night owl, and my goal is to be asleep by midnight. And that's just how it works in my family. My kids love to stay up. They don't seem to like to sleep or go to bed early. And therefore, I end up just running out of, juice in a sense around them being tired and stuff. So they just don't ever seem to want to go to bed as they should. So, all right, next up, what we have is there could be just a lack of stimulation as well. You're just worn out. Your body isn't functioning to its ability. Now, it can also be a sign of a medical condition that interferes with sleep, such as sleep apnea or restless leg syndrome. Sleep apnea, we know that there isn't some sort of an obstruction, usually in the breathing channel through your throat, through your mouth, and sometimes it's your tongue, sometimes it's being overweight causes an issue as well. Restless leg syndrome, exactly that. Your legs just don't stop moving. So there's that constantly. Now, typical sleeplessness is more likely to be short-term. It's something that you can remedy with getting a good nap in, with getting just a good night's sleep or a couple good nights sleep in. And it's often solved just having that consistency show up there. All right, next up, fatigue, in a sense, is defined differently. It's an extreme form of tiredness. It's constant state of a weariness. It's developed over time. This happens pretty consistently as you continue to, go through life and feel worn out by the everyday things that are happening to you. So this is something that is definitely a challenge for busy working professionals that have lots of responsibilities, working parents that have one or multiple kids. I have 4. There's always something going on. Even last week, our kids are in a virtual visual performing arts school. They are doing the theater play. They're in arts. They're in band. They're in orchestra. They're playing steel drums. They're going out to different performances in the community, vocal or actually playing instruments. They are super busy, and it's my wife and I's job to keep up with them. So that in and of itself creates this weariness and fatigue over time. Now, there's 2 ways we can look at this. One, it's acute. Right now, in the moment, as an acute fatigue of I didn't get enough sleep last night, hence I'm tired going into the noon, 1, 2, 3 o'clock hours of the day. Or it could be chronic being over time, and it builds up, and you have this chronic fatigue. You have maybe adrenal issues as well. Those are things that are real life that cause impacts into your overall health and well-being. Then usually as there's accumulation of stress, we then experience burnout on some level, and that's a real thing too. So being aware and conscious of burnout and how you need to manage around not feeling burnt out is super important. Some people are extroverted in a sense. They can go and have lots of energy and might not necessarily need a lot of recovery time. Whereas other people might be more introverted in a sense, and they get overwhelmed with peopling or being in large crowds or having to present themselves, or I think of someone just that's outgoing or first shy. And there needs to be a recuperation period. There's a client that I have, his name is Jay, that's his middle name, but Jay, I quickly identified early on, he manages his wife's YouTube channel. It's very profitable, but there's a lot of moving pieces of content creation or juggling the production, the new upcoming videos, the back end mechanics of actual just money and managing that. And then he's got a young 2-year-old that's out and about and getting into all the things, and then they do a lot of family activities as well. We realize that he can build up fatigue a lot faster than other people. Having adequate sleep, having adequate downtime built into his routine is super important and helpful to keep him on track and feeling a lot better. Now, the causes of fatigue can be psychological, physiological, they can be physical, Psychological would be having your mind running on full go, 100 miles an hour, constantly worried about all these things. There might be some anxiety associated to those feelings of tension and stress. Physiological fatigue could be in your body and how you're functioning. And then we have and your thought patterns around that of just wanting to not do anything, say be lazy. The other one being physical, of just your muscles are sore and tired. So there's a number of different ways to think of fatigue there. There's some symptoms of fatigue. Chronic tiredness or sleepiness. You just seem to be worn down all the time. Headaches, dizziness, sore and achy muscles. There's muscle weakness. You can't squeeze or work out as hard or as deliberate as you'd like. Slower reflexes. Try and drive on a long trip when you're only on 4 hours. It doesn't work too well for you. You end up really feeling a lot of fatigue and tiredness there. Moodiness is something as well. Being stressed out in a sense can cause some problems there. We have appetite loss, reduced immune system functioning, blurred vision, short-term memory. You just have that brain fog that's going on. You can't think clearly. It's hard to be productive and focused with energy. There's poor concentration going on, hallucination. If you go excessively long periods of time without sleep, you can definitely start to hallucinate and think about things that may appear that actually aren't there. Most importantly, your motivation is in the ditch, right? In the basement. Your willpower to push and drive forward is minimal. And now side effects, your reduced ability to pay attention in situations that are right there. So you get an email, you have someone walk into your office and you got caught daydreaming because you just are, say, spacing out in a sense, or there's a lack of desire to do the work or do the thing. You show up at the workout that you were going to run a hard workout at after work, but then that got downgraded to just running, that got downgraded to walking, that got downgraded to it's kind of cold out, I'm just going to go home. We don't want that. Your reduced decision-making capacities. You just can't decide. It becomes very challenging. I see this a lot with some of my parents that have super busy schedules. They literally just get overwhelmed. They can't decide simple things because there's so much going on in their everyday, and it just is impacting them in a negative way. And then if you don't make decisions in a timely manner, then you can't move and be productive in a timely manner. And ultimately, decisions that should be done stack on themselves, which further create more procrastination and cause a lot more stress later on because you're not productive and you're not paying attention to what's happening. Judgment is cloudy. There's loss of memory. You might feel like you're a lot older than you should be. I had a gentleman, a client, Paul, he said, man, I feel like I have Alzheimer's of an 80-year-old and I just can't remember. There's a number of things that are going on in Paul's life. He's a high-level officer, and he's juggling a lot of responsibility, and he's also on patrol too, and juggling a lot of immediate, acute, and chronic issues that pop up into his everyday. You can't stay awake, right? If you're fatigued, then you just literally run out of juice, and it's hard to stay focused. You forget, errors increase, and accidents. If you were a worker that resulted in some sort of a physical issue, or say like an assembly line or something, there could be physical issues that happen. If someone could get hurt, that's not what anyone wants. So let's talk about, why am I tired in the first place? Well, physiological, we've got stress, anxiety, depression. Those are clear things that can be up in your head a lot and causing this. Stress is acute and chronic. It's external coming into you, but also internal going around in your head. Anxiety is tension and disconnection in your mind, and it causes pressure and worry and stress to just start to blow up in a sense. And then you have depression. Depression is just it's low energy. Right? You just have a low mental state, a low physical body state. You feel down, and that's just not what we want. Now, physiological, it's more in the body. We have lack of sleep. There's poor nutrition. You just aren't eating healthier foods that, say, Halloween was just around the corner here, or Thanksgiving's coming up, or the Christmas season, and you keep partaking in all the candy, the sweets, the treats, the baked goods, all those that come into the office. If you keep participating in that, well, one, it's 100 to 600 extra calories in your day that you probably don't need or want. Who doesn't want some sweets and treats? They're always enjoyable. I'm a baked goods person, so I will always trend toward enjoying baked goods. But lack of too much movement. So lack of movement or too much movement can cause some physical body responses. And then also we have just the physical of the body itself. We have medical conditions that pop up. That could be adrenal fatigue, brain fog. There could be multiple fibromyalgia is the one that was on my mind. There could be conditions in the body where it's just constantly worn down. We have diabetes, type 1, type 2. That plays an important part on your internal metabolism and your insulin systems and hormone regulations that happen there. There's chronic fatigue syndrome in and of itself, so you just literally can't function, and you can feel like it's months of low energy. Now, physiological causes of stress are things like working long hours, having before or after work activities. I have a bit more of a flexible work schedule in a sense. I work a lot. I enjoy work. I enjoy doing what I do, coaching people that want to improve their health, their lifestyles. That's really exciting. But also I work all sorts of different times of the day. My last call is going to be at 10 p.m. tonight. That's with someone that's in a mountain time zone. That's at 8 p.m. and she's getting done with her day. And then we're going to be able to have a conversation before she puts her kids to bed as well. So we can have work beforehand or working out. Say if you had an 8 to 5 plus a family life, you might have to get up at 5 o'clock to work out. And that can cause some just physical stress. Work-life balance certainly comes up, and there our general working population hours are longer and more stressful. Technology is a wonderful thing, but it can be overwhelming, or it can just literally produce significant amounts of effort that need to happen in the process of this all. So we want to make sure that you can manage a work-life balance and do well there. Bereavement or even life changes in what's happening outside of you. Someone might pass away that could cause some really physiological stress. It could be getting laid off at work. It could cause some really strong reactions in a person. So we have anxiety, ups and downs, and energy level. There's overwhelm. Overwhelm is being experienced more. Again, technology is simplifying, but also creating a lot more complexity in the everyday life that we live. There's certainly stress that builds amounts of again, we talked about this earlier, about how you internally manage stress or your coping mechanisms or the amount how you receive the external stress that's coming at you. Medication can also cause it. If you have some medication, that could cause some problems. Depression, being lethargic, lack of sleep, feeling insomnia, there's stress, there's life changes happening. Even boredom can cause a lack of desire to do things on a bigger, better level. Now, psychological causes. So we go back to depression. This illness is characterized by severe and prolonged feelings of sadness, dejection, hopelessness. People who are depressed commonly experience chronic fatigue. That's a real thing. You just don't want to move. You feel cloudy and overwhelmed. Anxiety and stress. A person who is chronically anxious or stressed keeps their body in overdrive. There's this flooding of adrenaline that exhausts the body, fatigue sets in, and you just are tapped out. Oftentimes, the stress and anxiety build up, and you don't allow yourself time to check out, to get away from social media, get away from your phone, get out in nature, breathe, meditate, journal, do something that's positive for you. Grief, losing a loved one, causes a wide range of emotions, from shock, guilt, there's depression, despair, and certainly loneliness. I've been with my wife since I've known her since age 11. We were high school sweethearts. We're 40 now, and you know where I'm going with that. Having that, if something were to happen in that relationship, even from something as, say, divorce or illness or death, that's going to cause a lot of, anxiety, stress, and loneliness. I'm not interested, not yet. So, physiological causes of lack of sleep can be caused by stress. There's anxiety. You're just literally too busy. This happens. People overload their schedule constantly, and it keeps them going and going and going because there's no balance. Or they get distracted. They do the Netflix and chill and they binge watch, and then all of a sudden, or binge consuming through social media, all of a sudden they are up way past their bedtime, and ultimately that ends up really hurting them in the long run. We have poor nutrition, so that if the body's not being nourished, it's not going to function properly. There's going to be a fatigue and a haziness going on about you. So some of the issues with nutrition is like you just don't understand nutrition. I teach people a lot about what proper nutrition is, how to have balanced meals, how to have better timing in their foods, and their food combinations, what are proper calorie amounts. Can you get to the grocery store and have it be an enjoyable, time-efficient process? Those are some examples. How to read nutrition labels. If you don't understand those, or you don't have a system around how you operate around your food, then it's really easy to go to fast food or to eat those snacks that show up at work. These are problems that will cause you poor energy. Bad food in a sense of just not high quality food, will lead to bad energy out. Oftentimes, I believe that the 3 o'clock slowdown in the day is usually derived from creating stimulants from the morning of just over caffeinating in a sense, or having fast food and that being this carb heavy, fat heavy, calorie heavy meal. And then it just plummets your, say, blood sugar levels and insulin levels, and then you're really sleepy and you have all this food in your gut that's 1,000+ calories trying to digest. Your blood pools into your stomach, causing you to slow down and just not feel well. There's no time to cook, or you don't have a system around how you prepare food. Again, something that I talk quite a bit about. How do people create easier, more reliable approach to cooking or prepping food? There's very few people I've ever worked with that every Monday or every Sunday they do a couple hours of food prep and they have to eat out of Tupperware containers. That's just not how life is lived. That's not how 90% of people I ever work with want to live. So we find other approaches around that. Constantly being too busy, or you have too much scheduled, being unmotivated. There's plenty of businesses out there that'll be more than happy to take your money to trade you for some food that they prepared. In general, most of the food that they do prepare is tasty, it's enjoyable, Has lots of calories, carbs, fats, sugars, and sodium. So consequently, you may not feel great after that, or you might feel bloated or puffy or retaining water, or your weight fluctuates too much, eating out too much, and then just not managing portion control of overconsumption. Going into the holiday season, again, it's really easy to just overdo it. Lack of or too much exercise. One, you can just be unmotivated. I'm a big fan of having a buddy in a sense. I work out with my friend. He's coming over in a little bit. We're going to be doing a full body workout today. We've done some chest, some legs, some back the other day. And today's a full body smasher that we're going to have a lot of fun with. And if we can move because we're sore. Injury can happen whether you haven't been doing anything and all of a sudden you're doing that 0 to 100 real quick, and all of a sudden you're running a bunch or walking or moving more than you're used to. There's always, with activity, I'm always a big proponent of progression over time, slowly building up as you go. And then certainly stress on the body. If you overtrain, you can put stress, stress fractures, you can cause tendon, ligament damage, muscle knots, muscle tightness, and the quality of your muscle tissue can go down. If you have poor quality of your muscle tissue, think of beef jerky like muscles, or the other one, if you have really good muscle tissue, then we could do filet mignon like muscle. It's real soft, it's pliable, it's supple. It can handle the work that you're going to do for it. All right, lifestyle. With sleep, there's a lack of or too much. In general, if people are getting too little of sleep, they're going to run out of gas pretty darn quick. They're going to always be seeking naps and just being grumpy. Too much sleep, 11 hours or more. This can actually cause a lot of sleepiness as well. You just never wake up from sleeping. It's like you're just sleeping from one state to the next of just sleepiness. Sleep disturbances. Disturbed sleep may cause a number of reasons. For example, noisy neighbors, if you're close to people, barking dogs. My dog loves to get up between 1 and 4 o'clock for some reason. It's like, hey, dog, this is time to sleep. We have to do a really good job at making sure we walk him plenty. And that's super helpful. If we walk him plenty and he's tired, he's more likely to sleep all night and not wake us up. But if we have a really busy day and we didn't set time aside because we juggled like last Saturday, literally we had a soccer game at 8 for my 8-year-old. We went to fencing for my 10-year-old, went to a vocal performance at noon. For my 10-year-old, we ate a meal out as a family in the afternoon. Then we had the final day of the play that had kids had to be there at 5. That was an action-packed day. Then there's post-celebration happening after the play with the friends and the crew and all. We weren't getting home until 11. So 7 to 11 of basically a really full day. Our dog didn't get a lot of action, and he was up quite a bit that night. And we knew it, too. All right. Other days he gets more than enough activity. We walk him pretty regularly to not have issues. So back to sleep disturbances, snoring partners, just an uncomfortable sleeping habit, too cold, too hot, the mattress isn't good, the sheets aren't soft, the pillow's uncomfortable, you're sleeping in different beds, meaning say you travel a lot for work and each bed is different. That happens. And then lastly, alcohol and drugs. Certainly alcohol is a depressant. It will slow down your nervous system, and can be very disruptive to your sleeping patterns. And the more that you drink, the more problems it can cause for you. Cigarettes and caffeine can be stimulants, and they can stimulate the nervous systems and then cause you just to not be able to sleep as well. Now, lifestyle behaviors, this can cause fatigue as well. Just sedentary, just not moving. So we absolutely know that physical activity improves your fitness, your health, your well-being. You have reduced stress as a way to manage and cope with that. You have a boosted energy levels. This all causes you to sleep. I had a client once, he said, Brian, I found out what has caused a cure to my insomnia. I said, oh yeah, what's that? Now, we were in a weight loss phase for him. It was walking 15,000 steps. He had not really ever done that. And consistently when he did do that, he was able to sleep so much more. Poor diet. We have low-calorie diets, low-carb diets, high-energy foods that you eat, and their accessibility is tremendous these days. They usually don't have a lot of quality in the nutrition. It's just empty calories. All these things add up to just your body not fueling or functioning properly with a diet. Of course, the individual factors when it comes to lifestyle and your behavior of just getting sick. A typical cold is going to run you 5 to 7 days of just lower energy. Illnesses in the family could draw on your energy because now you have to focus on them and take care of them a lot more. So there's a lot of examples, or even working 2 jobs because you have too many commitments or you have overscheduled children. Lastly, financial problems. That always causes stress in people and sleeplessness because nobody wants to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out how they're going to pay their bills. Absolutely not one person. Now in the workplace, let's talk about your lifestyle in the workplace and how that leads to fatigue. So shift work. Usually doing the 8 to 5 is, or we'd say 9 to 5, but it's actually 8 to 5, or it could be even longer depending on what you do. Now, we have other people that are working a second shift or even a third shift or physical labor jobs that cause a lot of stress in that working environment as well. There's boredom at work that could cause fatigue. There's just working alone or just not having interactions with other people that can cause fatigue and stress and just distraction or not being focused. And a highly repetitive task. If you do something too long on repeat, it's not going to be that enjoyable. Now we have workplace stress. It can be caused in a wide range of factors, including job dissatisfaction or a heavy workload, just constantly. There's another lady I have that comes to mind. She seems to always be working. She's always traveling for work all over the U.S. And she's always in meetings and more meetings that cause this lack of ability to get her to function and be able to have a good work-life balance. So she is definitely tired. She doesn't have a lot of time for exercise or activity. Her time management is always getting challenged. Now, certainly other things in the workplace that could cause a lot of stress are conflicts with your boss or coworkers, or if you're the business owner, that just making sure that the business is financially viable, week in, week out, month in, month out is super important. Bullying. If you've ever experienced that from your childhood or even now in the workplace or in other areas of your life, that's not fun. That's not exciting. That is very stressful. And then lastly, we have burnout. All these pressures are building, and then all of a sudden you just poof. You are definitely worn out, burnout, and having a big challenge in getting your body going. So workaholics are a thing. That'd be an example of just go, and never setting time aside to downshift your energy and effort. It definitely impacts your family life, your social life, your personal interests. Completely get out of whack. one thing I'd love to do in my life would be to get a little more competitive. I've always been a competitive person. I keep myself in good shape. I would love to play some sport activities and go sweat and move and not necessarily do it by myself. Say running a race. I've ran marathons and I've raced bikes and I've ridden bikes and I've swam and I've done triathlons and all that. That's a way to exercise, but it doesn't necessarily check off my desire for competition. So I just have a workload that's large, and with 4 kids, there's always demands happening. Now let's go to the lifestyle and movement category of what are we doing in movement. With too much exercise, you don't have enough time to hold on, I got a text from Kelsey. Let me check in here real quick. Too much exercise, a lack of exercise is something that's a real thing in your everyday lifestyle. And that's something that we want to really be able to get into and manage. All right. Un momento. All right, excellent. So there are a number of different ways that we have gone over how fatigue is a real thing in your life. And I am very happy that you have been here. When it comes down to what is reality, we have the stress management, the physiological piece of this, and how it impacts into your every normal day. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and I'm really excited to help you learn how to manage stress and fatigue into your everyday life. So thank you for joining me. Leave your comments below. I appreciate you for listening.